Alrighty, 4,700 nautical miles at 9.5 knots, 247 gross tonnes.
Yep.
That's my understanding. 2016 build?
Yeah, 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Paolo.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Dan Jones is my name. Welcome to Dan's Boat Life. We're on the CDM Darwin Class, 31 metres, about 31 point something.
Yeah, 0.02.
0.02. There you go. Close enough. A true Explorer Yacht. So in this video, we're going to be walking through the technical features at the beginning, and then we're going to do a bit of a detailed walk through the interior as well. So if you're interested, keep watching. And we might even have a chance to get on this boat and go out to sea in another video. So stay tuned for that if you are interested. So you've just come down from Cairns.
From Cairns, yeah, in 2 segments.
Yep.
First to the Gold Coast, and then we paused for a quick session there.
Okay.
And then ran from Gold Coast to Sydney.
All right.
Yep.
And do owners often join, 4,700 nautical miles, to me, and tell me if this is right, really seems to position an owner to be able to get off grid, detach from society, and just do whatever they like, wherever they wish.
Yeah.
Do they join you for the journeys, or are they?
Not typically, not with us.
Yep.
Our owners like to have us reposition.
Yep.
I think the biggest benefit having that range gets us to where we need to be with them.
Yep.
But not with them travelling.
Yeah.
It's not really.
That's
in there.
not of interest, or they don't have the time
not so
for
much.
it.
The kids are interested. When I say kids, they're 20 and 22.
Yep.
They are definitely interested.
Okay.
But at the moment, we just haven't had the opportunity.
Yep.
They're still in university and so forth. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've heard that from a few people. I just wanted to see your thoughts. It seems like the attraction to an Explorer Yacht really is the ability to go and have the boat wherever you choose, when you choose.
Location.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
So you could be Tasmania, Victoria, New Zealand in summer, and you could be the Kimberleys
Yep.
in winter.
Yeah, Lizard Island,
Yep.
Albany Passage, up around Torres Strait Islands, anything like that. It's all doable.
Yeah,
Most
okay.
certainly.
Fantastic. So let's talk about some of the technical features, because that's why we're here. Maybe to try and keep the video short and sweet, can we have a brief overview? I think I know most of this equipment, but you're the expert, so I'm not going to talk. I'll let you do the talking.
So basic, just CCTV.
Yep.
Just all deck cameras, pretty much. More for safety reasons. One of the aft deck, another one we shoot the tow tender with full time, and then gangways and companionways. And then basic GPS, chart plotters, mirror imaged on both sides, 2 different systems. And then they can always have another radar overlay on them as well. And then secondary radar, so long range and short range radar, as well as just our basic sounder in the middle.
Okay. And then in terms of what we're looking at here from
Yep.
port to starboard.
So pretty much just all control systems for everything we have.
Yep.
Stabilisation, 0-speed stabilisers on board work absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know they were on board for the first month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd never worked with the Mitsubishi system, and we were running without them. I didn't notice.
Yep.
And then we were at anchor one day, and I think my engineer came up and said, we've got 0-speed stabilisers. And I was like, yeah, okay, my mistake. And then moving forwards, just steering pumps, just initialising basically pump system, and then both Caterpillar displays.
Yep. So just to cut in there on the steering,
Yep.
does this allow you to position the rudder in one section and then give it some forward in gear, and it'll?
Yeah, so the toggles are individual rudders.
Yep.
Yep, we can individually use them.
Yep.
I tend not to use them very much,
Okay.
and we have the same thing on the helm stations, so I'd use them more on the helm stations than wing stations rather than the helm, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Bow thruster.
Yep.
I love that thing.
It's pretty windy today, I bet so. Yep.
It helps, most certainly.
Okay.
With our volume, and basically it does we do catch in the wind a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely worth it.
Yep.
GPS, compass, AIS, another GPS, and then radar controls.
So the theme is backup for backups.
Yeah,
here.
redundancy.
And then across the top,
Yep.
looks like communications.
So, communications. VHF, again, just displays of everything that's being displayed in front of us here as well.
Yep.
Working our way across to another VHF, wind, GPS, and then single sideband.
Okay. And I see you've also got good old traditional chart table where Paul is
Yeah.
on the starboard side.
Yep.
And I guess you could do it on the port too.
Yeah, this is usually blank for me. We use that for navigation, and this is typically my workspace.
Yep.
I like it blank, just if this is my side of the wheelhouse as such, and then we can do whatever we want over there.
Okay. Let's head out to the wing station and talk to me about parking this boat.
Yep.
It gets a lot of people nervous, the old parking setup. Is this a C zone? Sorry, just before we get there, Paolo. This must be a whole boat monitoring system.
It is.
Yep. Okay, so digitally controlled, giving you all the information.
Everything from pumps, tank levels, fire alarms, absolutely everything.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. Let's keep moving. So, how many wing stations?
2 wing stations, 1 port, 1 starboard.
Okay.
Yeah. Helpful.
How many people do you need to get this boat into a dock like where we are?
Our typical team is, my engineer is usually on the stern and my deck mate's on the bow.
Okay.
And there's just 3 of us. It's pretty simple. Boat handles well, behaves well, it's got transverse thrust, works really well with it. It's, can actually drive it the way you think you should be able to drive a vessel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I've been to the factory with the guys, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link in the description below. There's a lot of boat below the waterline in these CDMs, and there's a big skeg, which obviously takes the shaft, and then you've got the prop and the rudder. So there's a lot of contact with the water.
There is.
How does she go, like, if you do need to do some transverse thrust and get the thing moving around?
As long as you lift the RPM with it and start to play with the rudders a little bit, it's fine. If you were to centre rudders, she does like to hold steady and doesn't like to drift very, very well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's manageable.
Technique.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It should be the easy part of the job though.
Yeah, totally. Let's move forward and have a look at the anchoring setup. So I'm guessing you would spend a lot of time on anchor on a boat like this. Is that correct?
Yeah, most certainly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
so I think we tow tender specifically for that.
okay.
Just so we don't have to go back to the dock to pick up guests or anything. We will run tenders, 60, 70 mile to pick up new guests coming and going.
You do a 60-mile tender trip?
Yeah, most certainly.
Wow. So what sort of tender are you running?
There's a Grady White that follows us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's perfectly.
Works.
I'm actually going out on a Grady White on another video this weekend.
Good
so
stuff.
Good ocean boats.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So you really can position this thing off grid.
Yeah, most certainly. So while we're operating up in Cairns, between Cairns and Lizard Island, we'd stay on the outer for the whole week.
Yep.
And we'll run the tender back and forth.
Yep.
Whether it be back into Port Douglas or back into Cooktown.
Yep.
Or we could be halfway to Lizard basically and still pick up guests and drop off.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we've obviously got 2 anchors.
Yep.
Or it looks like we're on both of them now, I think. You just sit on one, obviously.
Yeah, yep. So both anchors are in pocket at the moment.
Oh, because you've got the lines
Yeah,
out,
we've just
of course.
disengaged, so we're using the capstans on them.
Yep, my bad.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, interesting. So, but when you are on the hook, how much chain, like...
For some reason, I tend to stick to the same mathematics, usually drop 90 metres.
Yep.
We hold about 420 metres aside.
So you hold 420 aside?
Each side, yep.
Woof.
Yeah, most certainly.
Wow, yep.
Yeah.
That's a lot of chain.
I think it's just habitual. I think we all have our own habits in what we do.
Yep.
That's typically where we sit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Have you been sitting on anchor in any big blows?
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah?
Yep. Usually see them coming. We hope to see them coming. But
Yeah.
with that, 90 metres out, we're pretty safe.
Yeah, okay.
We typically don't anchor in deep water. We usually anchored in anywhere between 13 and 22 metres.
Yep.
And that's a nice sort of happy medium for myself.
And how does she sit on anchor? Is there a lot of swaying?
She does move a little,
Yep.
most certainly.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, with her big bow that it is, she
Yep.
does move. It depends on how much scope you have on the anchor as well, and depending on what ground you're sitting in.
Yeah.
Whether the anchor's actually hanging on the first shot, or
Yep.
whether it's sand or...
And that's why you got the 0-speed stabilisers, and I've seen doors for wind deflectors, which
Yeah, I mean, our arc is a little large, that's for sure, when we do hang up.
Yep.
When we're sitting at anchor. But as far as the vessel moving, we sit rock steady.
Okay, awesome. Let's keep moving. I'll just point out whilst we're looking at it, but all our communications on the mast, it's pretty substantial. The big domes, internet, right?
Yeah, internet on one side and TV on the other.
And is that all going to change now that Elon Musk got his Starlink? What's the talk with all the in the industry?
Yeah, so I think we're going to go with both.
Really?
Yeah, to start with.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're upgrading in February.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But so at the moment, that'll go inside one of those domes, will it?
No, we'll put a separate one up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can see you're 2 radars, one above the other,
Yep.
just there. Some
Yeah.
pretty serious kit. Okay, let's keep this moving. So let's go and have a look where you stow the tenders.
Sure.
Not the towable tender.
Yep.
The stowable tender.
On deck?
Yeah.
Oh, certainly.
I assume it's this way.
Yep.
So what sort of crane do you have on the back here?
Oh, you've got me on that one, actually, sorry.
That's all right, we'll have a look. Doesn't matter, you're not
That's
supposed to
lifting-
remember everything.
Lifting capacity of 2 tonne.
Yep.
But as far as the brand of it, you've got me there.
That's fine. So 2 tonne capacity, so it looks like you're deploying over the port side. And
Yep.
so these railings remove?
They do now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're all removable.
Now, did they not before?
They didn't, no.
Oh, right.
No, there were sections that could, so you could swing the outboard around and
Okay.
slide it in.
Okay.
We just made them removable last year in the hope of putting a 7-metre plate boat on deck.
Oh, yeah.
So they all come out individually.
Yep.
All the way through.
Yep.
Just,
And is the plate boat, are you thinking Kimberleys?
yeah, exactly.
Crocodiles?
Yeah, so we run several different groups of tenders.
Yep.
We've got ribs for Melbourne.
Yep.
Plate boats for North Queensland.
Yep.
And then obviously our tow tender comes with us everywhere.
Yeah.
It probably won't come with us to the Kimberleys.
Yep.
We'll leave that behind.
So for the Americans, the Europeans watching, what we're referring to is up at the top end of Australia, the wildlife is a little bit overly friendly and might want to eat you for lunch. So you don't take an inflatable tender where the crocs are, and it's advisable to do something in plate aluminium is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. Sharp rocks as well.
Sharp rocks. Big tides.
Landing on rocky outcrops and so forth, and fishing more so.
Yep.
It's about that getting out, and it's an unknown.
Yep. And all the more reason to have a self-sustaining long-range boat, because
Yeah.
if you're in the Kimberleys, how far's Darwin?
Yeah, Darwin's not accessible to us when we're there.
Yeah.
So we most usually use Broome, or we'll be using Broome this year.
Yep.
And basing from there, we'll do 10 to 14 day trips.
Okay.
And then, so during that period, the only thing that we really refuel with is petrol.
Yep.
So, and everything else with diesel on board, we'll probably only do 1 fueling during the whole Kimberley season.
And how long's that season?
4 months.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Wow. It's just, I've never been to the Kimberleys. I've got a lot of friends and customers who have, but
Yep.
the way it's been described to me is it's the last remaining place on Earth where the ocean is the way it was before man came and mucked around with it.
Yeah. Yep. There's portions of that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome.
I think it's
Mate.
being discovered these days.
Yeah,
but-
it's true.
Yep.
That's true. A lot of boats like this.
Yep.
Cool. So 2 tonne lifting capacity. I can see your life rafts deployable on either side. That's all pretty stock standard stuff.
Yep.
That's quite interesting. Let's go from here, perhaps down this stairwell, and let's have a look at the transom.
Sure.
What do we have here? Muir winches for
Yep.
docking.
Yep.
It's all pretty stock standard
capstans,
stuff.
exactly.
Yep. Okay, opaque mare, so obviously that'll
Yep.
deploy. We've all seen these before and give you a nice, beautiful access into the water with one of these. So that turns
Yeah.
into a stairway when it's
It
out.
does. Yep.
Yep.
And then sits about, say, 1.5 foot
Yep.
underwater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also store one of our ribs on here while we're in Melbourne. So we have a brig that we put on deck here.
Yep, in a cradle.
Yep, in the cradle. So it's nice and quick. So every time we pull up, we usually leave that deck empty.
Yep.
Just for the guests.
Okay.
And it's an entertaining area.
Yep.
And then we use that tender as well as the Grady White,
So are you boarding guests from here or from there?
usually from port or starboard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
you've got
alongside.
fenders out alongside,
Yep.
and they can step on.
Yeah, and with
easy step.
Hence the idea of keeping ribs down south as well.
Yep.
It's super friendly, bringing guests on and off. We'll do 10, 12 transfers a day with friends and family and what have you. So
Yep.
makes it so much easier.
Yeah, because with the Grady, you're going to have to hang fenders out, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So then you've got a bigger gap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so we use the Grady for elderly people or disabled people.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a doorway in the Grady so they can step straight across.
Oh,
and
so you've got a
we'll
side opening door.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And so when you're towing, a lot of people are going to be interested in this because that's a sizable chunk of boat.
Yeah.
If you're towing it, how many tons is that? 4 tons?
Yeah, 5.5.
5.5 tons.
Yep.
So how long's your towing line got to be, and how far out from the boat would you have the thing?
Yeah, so it depends on what weather we're in.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got different setups for different weather.
Oh, right.
The tow line and everything remains the same,
Yep.
but we have different tows, so different bridles for different situations.
Okay.
We'll either do a single tow off one side or we'll do a bridle tow for longer haul trips.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we'll use drogues behind the tender if need be for big following seas.
Oh, so it doesn't surf down its own independent wave.
Yeah.
And then do the,
Hence the big spotlight up there as well that lights up the whole tow line the whole time.
Oh, so you can keep an eye on it from the bridge with that screen you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. So that's a whole science in itself. So you're looking at the weather conditions and then adjusting the tow or changing the tow lines.
Yep.
And then obviously deciding on your go or no go.
Exactly.
With the tow.
Yep.
I understand.
Yeah, and depending if we're doing short range trips, we always just tow off one side. We have a short tow that we use Spectra line for.
Yep.
So much quicker to get the vessel back in when we end up at anchorage.
Yep.
There's no need for 130 metres of tow length or anything like that for a short passage.
Yeah. Okay.
And then no need for bridle either.
Yep.
And if we don't want to pull it in, it gives still the access across the swim step.
Yep.
Without the bridle sitting in people's way and going for a swim and what have you.
Yeah, sure. But I guess when the guests are on board, they're not going to be seeing any of that towing function because it's all set up in place for the charters, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's all, that's just you transiting in between, which only the kids seem to want to join.
Yep.
I love the name of this boat, by the way.
Yeah.
True Blue.
Yeah, the boss is patriotic.
Oh, it's so cool.
That's for sure.
I love it. Yeah, and thank you to the owner for allowing us to do this tour. It's like quite an honour. Let's go down and have a look at the equipment space in the engine room.
Sure.
It looks like this boat's been set up for diving.
Yeah.
Or
diving, fishing. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yep.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 stairs. Don't even hit your head. Like, I can just walk through there, not a problem. That door's pretty big. Okay, so come on down, Paul. Let's have a look. This actually feels like a bar.
It is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we use it for.
Okay.
Most certainly. Yep. So we have a fridge freezer behind you.
Yep.
And then ice machine, a 70 kilo ice machine that we installed this year. We just can't keep up with ice when we're fishing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it's a challenge.
Yep.
Dishwasher, so mainly for glasses and so forth.
Yep.
And then zip machine for sodaed water, filtered water.
Yep.
And then pretty much a bar.
Yeah, okay. Fantastic. So, and you've got all your storage for your BCDs and your tanks and everything on the starboard side. I see rod holders as well.
Yeah.
That looks like a water maker on the port.
Yeah, dual water makers.
Dual water makers, of course, redundancy.
We don't have enough rod holders to hold our rods, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's rods everywhere.
Yep.
Is this area down here air conditioned?
It is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, most certainly.
That makes a difference.
Ventilated and air conditioned.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard during because we leave the aft door open.
Yeah.
Full time.
So the heat's just coming in all the time.
Yeah. But as long as we're positive pressure in the engine room and the engine room doors open, we get a bit of flow running through.
Yep.
It seems to be okay.
So people can literally finish their diving or fishing expedition, step on the Opac Mare, down the stairs, grab a cold one,
typically,
and then head up to the spa.
Typically they're met on the back deck with a drink.
So good. How cool is that? Oh, that's living. Let's have a look at the engine space. So this is a big waterproof door, clearly. Yep. I love these engine rooms. There's so much space.
Yeah, it is pretty.
You could stand. I could stand. I'm not very tall underneath that motor.
Yeah, you could sleep in there. That's for sure.
You know, that's massive. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's obviously when you look at these things out of the water at the factory.
Yeah.
That's why I was talking about it. It was so clear that there's a lot of boat under the water.
Yeah.
That's evident right there.
Yeah, exactly. Most certainly.
So we're running C18s.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And what would you cruise at?
About 10.5 knots.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our tender slows us down a little. When we don't have the tender on, we're sitting around the 11 knot range.
Okay.
Then we tend to drop about half a knot with the tender.
Okay. So your best cruise for fuel economy is a bit slower, but you would cruise...
A little slower, yeah. Yep. So depending if we have guests on or not, depending if we're trying to meet a weather window or... there's so many different scenarios.
Yeah.
But typically, when I do my calculations, if we're doing a long haul passage, I'll calculate them at 10 knots.
Yep.
And we always beat it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's 6 metre swells running down south today, and we've even got 5 metres on the forecast for Sydney tomorrow, or maybe even later today.
Yeah.
What's your comfortable range? I know the boat's built like a tank, but the people have to survive it too. So.
Yeah, for sure. So it depends if we're on a deadline or not.
Okay.
I tend not to leave when it's over 3 metres.
Okay.
And that's a gauge.
Yep.
Depends on wave period as well.
Yep.
Whether we're sitting at 6 seconds or 12 seconds.
Yep.
But That's a huge
not
difference.
going to be making much weight at 6 seconds.
Yeah, 12 seconds is beautiful.
Yeah.
Literally just ride through it. Well,
Yeah.
if you shorten that up, it can get quite nasty.
Yep.
Realistically, I don't care what size vessel you are, when that pattern starts shrinking and they start growing, it becomes uncomfortable.
It's just not
But
fun.
Yeah, it handles it. There's no stress in that.
Yep.
You can still sit in the wheelhouse chair. You don't have to stand up.
Wow.
But at the same time, it's just
It's just be
safety.
unpleasant.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 millimeters thickness, I believe, is the steel on the hull.
Yeah, she's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
And
that's more than you need.
I think with that, the vibration, the sound through the vessel, it's amazing. You don't hear the engines run.
So that's, you hit on an interesting point, because at the factory I could see them hanging the roofs and the insulation away from the steel. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, and the thickness of the steel as well throughout everything. Every time you punch into a wave, you don't feel that or hear vibration, or it's solid as a rock.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's quickly go around here, then we'll wrap this up. So this is clearly all your fuses, generator operation.
Distribution board.
Yep, okay. Your
Exactly.
gen sets, are they equal size?
Equal size, both 75 kVA.
And will one gen set run the whole boat?
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, jacuzzi, all our water heaters, galley running in under full load.
Yep.
Yeah, it's well laid out like that.
Yep.
I think at that stage we're sitting about 80% load,
Okay.
which is where we want to be.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, total redundancy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Toolboxes, engines, exhausts.
Yep.
This looks like all our chilling
Exactly.
on starboard.
Yep.
Okay. And then what are we looking at along here?
So main engine controls, stabilizer control systems,
Yep.
and then again another display system, day tank,
Yep.
and then below that's your fuel manifold system.
Yep. So does this have primary tanks that feed into a day tank?
Yeah, we run Alpha Laval fuel purifier.
Okay.
That runs into the day tank.
Got it.
You can direct transfer if there's something going on.
Yep.
Again, redundancy, but we run everything through the purifier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Understood. And moving our way over to the port side,
Yep.
it looks like we had some fire management.
Wheelie water separator.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yep. So we're full commercial class.
Can you explain that to the viewers? What does that do, and why is it required for commercial?
So it's required for commercial because of the non-dumping of pollutants, obviously. But it's basically a centrifuge unit, or a filtered centrifuge unit, that'll separate oily particles from water. We have a dump tank that the residue goes into.
Yep.
That's held on board, then discharged or pumped out from the dock.
Yep. And so what goes into the ocean is water.
Yeah, we actually tend not to use it. Most of our oily water residue, or all our oily water residue, just gets pumped straight out of the dock. We've got a holding tank large enough.
Right.
We've got no need for it. We haven't had a need for it since I've been on board.
Okay.
But that's not so. It's great to have.
Yeah, so it's there if you need it.
Yep.
And are we looking at fire pump distribution here?
Yep.
Okay. And so those are electric motors.
Yeah.
So they're running electrically. Okay, I understand.
Yep.
Amazing. I think we've covered all the technical sides that we can show in one video, but from your perspective and your experience, how do you find running this boat?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah?
It's turnkey. I joined it 18 months ago and we haven't had any major issues. It is literally turnkey still.
Yeah.
It's quiet. The biggest thing for me is the guests don't hear what we do. There's enough volume in the vessel where we can be operating in a certain area, and they don't see us. There's enough hidden spaces that they can be involved if they want. They don't have to be if they.
So if the crew choose or wish to be hidden, they can be.
Yeah.
And if the guests
wish to be involved, then we can you can always mould into that.
Yeah. And sounds are not carrying through the boat by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's.
You've literally got to put your head outside or stand out on the wing station to tell if the main engines are running as far as sound goes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And in terms of crew comfort and crew happiness on board, what's it like?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we've held the same crew now for over 12 months.
Yep.
Which in this industry at the moment is pretty good going.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody's comfortable.
Yep.
The crew cabins are more than adequate up forward, and the separation between the crew cabin and my cabin up in the behind the wheelhouse gives everybody a bit of breathing space. And we have coffee alone. We don't have to be in each other's pocket full time.
Yep. Awesome.
It's good.
Fantastic. All right, so if you're interested in a detailed walkthrough, that's going to be a separate video to this. Follow the link and we'll put that up separately. Paolo, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I've learnt a lot. I really appreciate that, and I hope you guys have learnt too.